guard, lay on the mic tonight. News coming in left and right. More better with the latest fight. Gene's got the insight tight. Champions rise and they fall. Wire to wire, got it all. Every move and every brawl. Tune in for the curtain call. Wrestling talk all night long. Catch the latest match and song. Ring the bell, let's get it on. Every story bright and strong. In the ring they clash and roar. New rivalries and so much more. Titles change and legends lore.
What's poppin', y'all? It is your boy, Guard-E3, and welcome to the Meaty Boyz podcast, where we talk all things wrestling. And ladies and gentlemen, of course, joining me just like every week, he is limousine riding, jet flying, wheeling dealing, son of a gun. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Mo Better. How you doing, Mo?
I'm doing great. Appreciate everybody stopping in and joining Brett and I tonight, talking some wrestling.
No, absolutely. And you know what? Let's get into it. Obviously, we got a big event coming up in Survivor Series. And, we'll get to that. But, first I wanted to talk a little about AEW. They just had their big, they had a big pay-per-view this past Sunday. But, all the credit in the world. I wanted to give somebody all the credit in the world. And ironically, it's the pre-show match that I want to give all the credit in the world for. They, hey, what's poppin'? So, Big Boom AJ versus QT Marshall was a match on the pre-show. AJ's been getting over on TikTok and everywhere else as one of the Costco guys. And he actually broke his foot before the match, but he still went through with it. What's poppin'? She is not. But he still went through with it, so I wanted to say all the credit in the world. I couldn't imagine wrestling on a broken foot, considering I wake up wrong and my neck is a little stiff and I'm out for the rest of the day. So I just wanted to give all the credit in the world to that. And to all the people complaining that, he had a match on the kickoff show, I want to say get over yourselves. His segment is the third most viewed wrestling clip this year, just behind The Undertaker at WrestleMania and Joe Hendry in NXT. So, I feel like, Mo, that people, I think sometimes wrestling fans forget that part of wrestling is you want to bring in the casual viewers, and this is exactly what that did. So, but I'm curious, Steve, were you able to catch any of the pay-per-view, sir?
I did catch some of it, and I enjoyed it. And I agree with you 100%. I think a lot of time wrestling fans forget that there's nothing wrong with bringing in the casual fan. That's a good thing. That's another way to grow the business. So I disagree with anybody that's complaining about him getting that match. He's an attraction, he's a draw, and he connects to people.
And ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the final boss of Wire to Wire Sports Network. Ladies and gentlemen, main event, Gene Walzak. How you doing, Gene?
Yo, I seen y'all go live, and I just got home from a work trip. And I'm telling you something right now. I've been trying so hard to get on this show and talk wrestling with you guys. And it's just life has just not been there. And I seen the opportunity, and I just put myself in the chat. I'm like, if he really wants me to hop in, he'll add me. I don't want to. I'll just chill there for a minute, and you added me, so I appreciate that, man. I am fired up. If you don't mind having me join you guys tonight.
No, absolutely not. To give you guys a little rundown of what we're doing, we're talking, wanted to touch on the pay-per-view from Sunday for AEW. Look ahead to Survivor Series. We've got a fun little exercise for you later, too. We're all going to pick our dream Survivor Series team all the time. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So why don't we just start, talking some WWE. Let's hop right into talking some Survivor Series and just the build up to some of those matches. And why don't we just start with the women's War Games match. Now, it'll be really interesting to see who replaces Jade Cargill and who attacked her. She was taken out. She was put through a car windshield, so it looks like she's out of War Games. Who do you get? Do you guys have a prediction on who replaces Jade in War Games?
That's already done, man. That's already done. It's already done.
Oh, it slipped my mind that everything that SmackDown was pre-taped, but I just completely avoided all that. So I still have no clue who's replacing her at this point.
Then do you want me not to spoil it for you, or
You can,
I felt like on this Monday Night Raw they kind of gave it away though, right?
yeah,
On Monday Night Raw they kind of gave it away with Bayley helping Bianca at the end of the match.
yeah.
I mean, it's Bayley. That's who it is, right? I think the bigger interesting question is who took out Jade Cargill, and I have my opinion on that. So when you're ready for that, it might not be the most popular opinion, but I feel like I know where I'm going here.
No, fair enough. I figured it was Bayley. I didn't know if anybody else had any other names to throw out there. But yeah, let's get into the more interesting topic. Who do y'all think attacked Jade?
Mo,
you
want
to
give yours first? Because I'm a little bit nuts.
I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna go with a wild conspiracy theory. I'm not so sure that Bayley wasn't the one that attacked her. I'm just saying. It just would add to the storyline. It's too easy to say that it was Liv and Crew that did it. That's an obvious one. I feel like it's somebody that's not so obvious. And to me, Bayley would be not obvious at all.
If I had to take a guess, and it's almost judging by I feel like they're trying to throw you off with Naomi because every segment she's trying to change the subject real quick, talking about Jade, giving her weird looks when they were teaming together. Part of me wants to say Naomi, but
wow,
part of me wants to say Bianca too, just because seeing a heel Bianca would be a lot of fun. I'm going to go outside the box, and I'm going to guess that it's going to end up being a returning Charlotte Flair.
Okay,
well,
that's a good one. I thought I was out of the box, and you said it was really obvious. So maybe I'm not out of the box. I thought I was. I think it's Mrs. Glow herself. I think it's Naomi, and I think that I don't want to say a jealousy thing, but if you remember why Naomi left the WWE prior, it's because they never pushed her. She was never over. They never made her a champion. And then she comes back and she fights in a couple championship contender matches, never gets her opportunity, never wins. She's never put over. I think heel Naomi is coming. I really believe that. And I think you won't know at Survivor Series. I think you're going to still see clips and shades of it. I think she's going to end up trying to step into Jade Cargill's spot as a tag team champion with Bianca, so they don't have to give up the belt. She's going to try to slip right into that spot, and I think eventually you're going to start seeing heel Naomi. Now, I think heel Naomi leads to Bianca versus Jade. I really believe that you're going to get that at this WrestleMania. I think it's going to be perfect. I think you're getting Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill at WrestleMania.
I like that. Actually, I love that. And I love the idea because I think that a heel Naomi, who's more of a manipulator, is going to eventually win a title. Maybe it won't be the individual title, but a heel Naomi is more compelling. It's more interesting because she's already a terrific in-the-ring performer, but bring a heel to that element to her. I think that opens up everything. And I do think that would tie into Cargill versus Bianca Belair. I think Naomi would be the puppet master behind all of this. So I'm here for that. I hope you're right 100%. I hope that's exactly what's happening.
Do you want to hear the fun part of it that I think that takes it another step forward? So I'm going to give you a little WWE foreshadowing. Now, you look back to last January 1st. The Rock comes back, and he's this super face, and he beats up. He goes in the ring, and he beats up. I forget the ex-champion. I forget the guy's name, but everyone loves him. It came back on
and he's the baby face, and Roman Reigns is the heel. And he says at the end of his segment, he goes, I'm about to go to the bar tonight. Should I sit at the bar? Should I sit at the table? Or whatever. Or should I sit at the head of the table? And you knew that was a little shot at Roman Reigns. But at that moment, the crowd goes wild because you have face Rock versus heel Roman. And I think you end up eventually getting heel Rock versus babyface Roman. So I give you that to say when Jade Cargill came into WWE and you had that face-to-face in the middle of the ring. Now, there's now been 2 of them with Bianca and Jade, one at the Royal Rumble and the second one just recently in that Women's Battle Royale. You've thought everything tells you heel Jade and super babyface Bianca, which she's always been. I think at WrestleMania, you end up getting, and you're starting to see it now. You're starting to see it now. I got to go out there tonight and put the team on my back and go against Nia Jax in the women's match. You're starting to see it now. You're about to get a heel Bianca Belair.
I hope so. You give me a heel Bianca Belair, she's going to win a lot of belts. I mean, she's already won a lot of belts, but she becomes unbeatable as a heel. She does. She becomes unbeatable as a heel. And the matchup between her and Jade Cargill, while it'll be compelling and interesting, I don't see Jade Cargill beating Bianca Belair. She's just a much better in-ring talent than her. It's not really even close. But a heel version of Bianca Belair, she's a problem for everybody. A heel version of Bianca Belair, I want to see that matchup against Rhea Ripley. I want to see that against Charlotte Flair. Like the heel version, I'm here for all that.
And if she's turning heel, honestly, I would love it if I would love it if Jade turned heel too. She's somebody I think is just a much better bad guy than a good guy.
Heel, yeah.
Yeah, so I think she's got some more run on her as a good guy, but eventually we're gonna get heel Jade, and it's gonna be the greatest thing ever. I loved her in AEW as a heel with the TBS title. I thought that entire run was great.
I just think that this is like you're all expecting heel Jade because that's what she was in AEW. I think this is going to be heel Bianca versus babyface Jade at WrestleMania, and you're going to get a hell of a show. And Mo, I get what you're saying. That first of all, let me be very clear when I say this. Bianca Belair is my favorite female wrestler ever.
Same.
Ever.
Same.
But I wouldn't say what you just said a second ago, that in ring, she's just so much better. It's not even close than Jade Cargill. And I'm not saying that Jade's technical as Bianca is, but I feel like Jade's theatrics and her acting and what she brings to the table as far as, I get it, the wardrobe, but what they're putting her on as, her strength, I don't think it's as far-fetched or as far off as you think it would be with Bianca and Jade.
Well, I'm not saying she can't beat her because they can write the ending however they want to write the ending. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that. I mean, Hulk Hogan won a lot of matches. He was a horrible wrestler.
You're right.
What I'm saying though is I think that Bianca's just a more talented in the ring wrestler. She's more well-rounded, more skilled. Like Jade Cargill's a power wrestler. That's what she is. Like certain wrestlers, they do 2 or 3 things really good. Goldberg wasn't a great wrestler. He was a great power wrestler. And he milked that. He had a great career out of that. But in comparison to, say, a guy like Kurt Angle, who could do everything well, who was anything but a one-trick pony, you can write it to where Goldberg beats Kurt Angle, but everybody knows that Kurt Angle's a better in-ring talent.
Yeah, you're right.
And then with the women's War Games match too, would it be I think it's going to be a lot of fun too. I think that from an in-ring standpoint, this match could very well be better than the men's. I think the men's overall is going to be better, but I think from a technical wrestling standpoint, a very real chance that the women's War Games match steals the show.
But the women's war game, the women's everything. The women's Royal Rumble was better than the men's.
It was.
I don't take it the wrong way. These women, just the overall matches, the storyline's always better with the men. The matches are always better with the women. No doubt in my mind. I think the women's lack storyline. And I think that this match as a whole doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. I think it's dumb. I think that WWE rushed it. They did a very poor job planning it. You have Nia Jax teaming with, like, obviously Liv, who just beat her out of PLE and cheated, and the person that helped her cheat is on that same team, Raquel Rodriguez. It doesn't make sense. There's no logic to that, right? There's nothing. And, I think the most captivating thing about the match, Brett, is you're going to see if you might get a cash in, because you have both champions
Tippy
and
time.
Money in the Bank tippy time in that match. I think you could get a cash in.
Oh yeah, that would be great. That'd definitely be the first ever cash in during a War Games match. That would definitely make it even all the more interesting.
Almost had one last year. They teased it with Damian Priest.
Yeah.
When Tiffy gets the belt, she's gonna have a long run.
I'll say rightfully so. So my last question, I guess, before we move on to some other matches. Jade versus Bianca at WrestleMania. Do you have Bianca win, or would you have Jade win? Because Bianca does have a WrestleMania streak going. She's like 4-0, and they make sure to bring it up every chance they get. So it almost feels like they're trying to build up the streak.
Yeah,
point with her.
I think that they could have Jade win, but I don't think that would be the end of that feud. I think that feud carries over after WrestleMania, but for WrestleMania, I think that Jade can win. Look, Bianca's won so many big matches. She's already had belts around her waist. Some stars are so big that they still carry heat without belts, and I think she's one of them. I think it elevates Jade if she wins, and I think ultimately that's what it's about. So I think Jade will win at WrestleMania.
I'll say this. There's not a bigger Bianca fan than me, and I think that she should win at WrestleMania. I think her legacy matters more than what they're going to do is pushing Jade. I'm just saying this as calmly as I can. I think that Bianca might be the greatest WWE women's superstar ever when it's all said and done, and I mean that. And that's in my eyes, my opinion. I look at her as light years better than Becky Lynch. I've never been a huge Becky Lynch fan. I think she's terrible on the mic. She does not have the presence that Bianca has. Charlotte is the only one that has that presence. But the problem with Charlotte to me is she's not either, right? She's not a likable face, and she's not a hateable heel because she never allows herself to be that full heel. I think her character has a ton of flaws. I think Bianca is the best of all of it, right? She's great in ring. Bianca's to me is like Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns' body. Like, you have the full stature of Roman Reigns, and you have the absolute skill of Seth Rollins. You mix those people together, and that's what you have in Bianca. And maybe I'm just tooting her too much, but I love me some Bianca Belair.
I'm there 100%. She can be a power wrestler. She can be a technical wrestler. She can brawl. She can go to the air. Like, she does everything. And I actually think that a run as a heel would bring out a whole nother side of her. So again, I don't know that you're right, but I sure hope you're right.
I could absolutely see it too, honestly. I think she's definitely already better than all the horsewomen, and my second favorite women's wrestler of all time is indeed Bayley, but Bianca Belair is definitely already tracking to be one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time. And when it's all said and done, I absolutely could see her being just the absolute best that we've ever seen.
I don't like Bayley. Never liked Bayley. Don't like her as the hugger. I think she was a better heel than she is a face.
I hate her as a face.
and her as a face is almost cringeworthy. And honestly, nothing against, listen, I'm not the model of being in shape, right? But she's a mixture of, she's not a power wrestler, she's not a great technical wrestler anymore, and she's not in that stature as far as shape goes that you would look at. I don't know where she fits at this point.
I got you. So let's see what we got cooking up next. Of course, you know what? What? Right? Can you smell what The Rock is cooking?
I missed that, man.
Soon enough, man. I still can't get over the fact that I saw him wrestle this year. It's absolutely surreal. Before we hop into some of the other matches, why don't we just have some fun? So, like I said, I was talking with Mo. We thought it would be fun to throw out our dream Survivor Series team. So if you had to make a Survivor Series team with your favorite wrestlers, not necessarily the best, but your favorite wrestlers, what would that Survivor Series team look like?
Or so are we doing a men's Survivor Series and a women's, or are we just doing men's?
At first I thought just men's, but we can do women's too.
So 10 women, it's going to be tough, to be honest with you, because you could do it with a lot of, so all right.
Oh, let's say just 5, just one team.
Oh, just one team.
Yeah, just one. Top 5.
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. You want to do women's first?
Yeah, we can do women's first.
Okay. So Rhea Ripley would be on that team. She is so over, and she's so great at what she does. I love Rhea Ripley. Obviously, Bianca Belair. That's those two teaming together at this Survivor Series makes a ton. I don't like that there's no character building between the two of them. I feel like it could be an excellent rivalry, but I would love that, right? So Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair are my two. I got to go back a little bit. We're talking about dream Survivor Series matchups, so I got to go back a little bit. And I'll tell you, it sounds awful now. But when she first came into the WWE, I was such a Sunny fan. Sunny's absolutely a crazy person now, but Sunny with the "I Know You Want Me" theme song was incredible. And then I'm gonna add to that the Stratusfaction of Trish Stratus, and then I'm gonna finish it out with someone that I think is the next generation of absolute superstardom, and that's going to be Jade Cargill.
It's really good.
That is a good one. I love the Sunny reference.
I had to add it because we're talking about, you said favorite, right?
Yeah.
And when Sunny first came out and she was just like, I know you want me. And literally, it was like the first time you really had that, I know you want me and you can't have me. It was like a heel, sex appealed women's wrestler. And I just loved her stature.
No, that's fair enough. Mo, who would be on your women's Dream Survivor Series team?
Well, he took a couple of mine that I would have already had. I'm gonna always go with Bianca Belair, but you know what? We're talking favorites, not necessarily the best wrestlers. So I think I would have Lita on my team. I think because she can take to the air. She's high risk. She's exciting. I like Mickey J. Mickey J could be on my team. I'll go old school. I want a little bit of power. I'll bring back China, for some intimidation, for some power. You don't think China can match up with Bianca and Jade Cargill? I mean, China's a bro. So, yeah, I'm going to go with China. And I think I'll add Charlotte Flair. I do like Charlotte's skill set and everything that she brings to the table. And then for fun, because I do love what she can do in ring. She's exciting. Does so many natural moves. She's a natural talent. I'm gonna go with Tiffy time. I'm gonna go with Tiffany. I'm a big fan of hers. I'm going with Tiffy.
No, I love it. If I had to pick mine, it would be I kind of already spoiled the one pick. I would pick Bailey. She'd definitely be on my team. I would definitely go with Rhea. And then, honestly, I would probably team the two enemies together because, no, you know what? Actually, never mind. I'd probably go Sasha Banks. Loved her in WWE.
Sasha Banks is dope.
And then my last two, I'm gonna go one future pick. Give me Roxanne Perez in NXT. She's been absolutely terrific. And my favorite women's wrestler of all time is still AJ Lee. So give me AJ.
That's a good one.
I would say there was something so cool about her with me growing up. She was just like different than the rest of the women and stood out to me. So those are our dream Survivor Series, or our favorite Survivor Series teams, women's edition. Love to see it. So now, why don't we just move on to the men's? Favorite men's Survivor Series teams. Do you want to start off with this one, Mo?
Yeah, I'll go ahead with it. So, look, my favorite wrestler all time, my very favorite wrestler, I'm gonna have him on there. That's Bret Hart. I'm going with Bret Hart. I would go with Kurt Angle. And a guy that people don't talk about a lot, he's kind of lost in time, but he was one of my favorite wrestlers. The guy was incredible technical wrestler. I'm going to go with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Love Ted DiBiase. Then I want to throw some power in there. So I'm going to go old school and drop Bruiser Brody on my squad because I love Bruiser Brody. Rest in peace. And then the last member of my team, I think I'm going to go with the genius himself. I'm going to go with Seth Rollins, the innovator. I love Seth Rollins. That would be my team.
No, that's a great one. Do you want to go next, Gene, or do you want to be the best for last?
Oh, no, you're the best for last. You go last.
Okay.
Just to be clear, Bret Hart was my favorite wrestler of all time. And I think that watching so many documentaries on how much of a tool he was really spoiled. Like, it's funny. I'll even watch the Vince documentary and listen to him break down his side of the story. And I still came away from it like, you're still a tool. Like, just a way, like, I loved Bret. Bret Hitman Hart was my favorite wrestler of all time. Super technical wrestler. He's literally this generation's or last generation's Seth. And that technical team that you put Bret Hart and Seth Rollins together, that makes a lot of sense. So my team is going to be a little bit different. If I was giving you my favorites, Seth Rollins would be on there. So I have to still add him. He's my current favorite wrestler. Love me some Seth Rollins. I'm going to have a little bit of a current flair, but they're all, you're going to catch the theme really quick. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns on the same team, long hair, Shawn Michaels, main event, Jey Uso.
Jay.
I'm such a Jey Uso fan. And I'm going to go back from my last one. So I got Shawn Michaels, one of my old school guys. I got Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. I still got to add Seth, Jey Uso. And then, look, I think it's a perfect fit, right? You have the old school Shawn Michaels situation. I think you can add Roddy Piper to the mix and just being just another attitude-driven guy, good technical wrestler, hard worker, always feels like he's going to get up. That'll be my team.
That's a nice team. You put together what look at those egos on there too. Seth Rollins, Shawn Michaels, Roddy Piper. That's a crazy team. That's a dope
with
team.
Roman.
Yeah. I don't want to leave out. Yeah, that's a dope squad.
Oh, the funny part is, Roman and Seth would also be on my squad. I love the Shield, so massive Shield fan. And after them, I would probably have to go with the best in the world, CM Punk. And my top two favorite wrestlers of all time would have to round out the squad: Bray Wyatt, rest in peace, and The Undertaker. I've always liked the darker characters, so those two are definitely my favorite of all time. And then after that,
a cult of person. Now, can I ask you guys a question? I did this before with my friend group, and I know we're kind of spitballing some dream matchups, but I want you to do me a favor and rank these 5 intros. Just the intros themselves, okay? So you have the Cody Rhodes, whoa. The Seth Rollins, the CM Punk, like when it hits, right? Look in my Randy Orton. I hear voices. And then the last one, the current version of the Roman Reigns entrance, which, by the way, still sounds like Cry Me a River. It sounds just like they use the same. You don't have to say what you did. Like, it just sounds that way. But I want you to rank those through 1 through 5, if you don't mind.
Oh man, that's a tough one.
So I would, for me, it just hits so hard. I'm gonna have CM Punk. I'm gonna have CM Punk number 1. I'm just putting it out there. That's 1. I would probably put. I'm gonna put Reigns number 2. I think you said Orton. That's one of my favorites.
I've got
that 3. And then I would go. Who's the last one? It was
Cody.
Seth and Cody.
I would go Seth and then Cody last. I like Cody's, but I like it the least of all of those.
Okay. See, it's funny because Seth's my 1. Because it's so long how they like Burn It Down always starts and it gets everybody to understand exactly. See, I think an intro, you need to know exactly who's coming out immediately. Like the CM Punk intro, the Seth Rollins intro, it gives you that. The Cody Rhodes does it a little bit. I Hear Voices does it a lot more, right?
Yeah.
But Seth's my favorite because it gives you the beginning, and then they can sit in the ring and just he can go whoa, oh! I love that. But Brett, I'm interested to hear yours.
If I'm ranked, that one's so tough. My favorite. Am I ranking my favorite or just best to worst? Because those are 2 different lists.
You could go. Your good could be your favorite. Let's do favorites. What do you mean best to worst? Do you think that there's a difference between favorite and best to worst? I like that.
Yeah,
so you don't value your opinion as best. I like that
because everybody's gonna have a different opinion. So my opinion might be completely different to somebody else's.
Let me hear your opinion then.
Because my favorite is definitely probably just CM Punk.
I like Punk. I love Punk.
That is one song that I listen to that outside of work. I'll be jamming to it, annoying everybody at work with it over the speaker. But the best, I think it almost has. I almost think the best is. I think it is Seth. I think Cody's second. I think. I love, and I think it's close, but I would probably go in best to worst. I would say I like Seth. I'd probably go with Cody. Then I'd probably go, let's see, the other 3 were Randy, Roman, or Punk. Probably go with, this is so tough. Probably go with Punk, Roman, Randy.
Okay. I have CM Punk's 5. And that's not like I just think that I don't know. I think there's a good spot in it. I go Punk 5, Orton 4, Roman so Cody 3, Roman 2, and Seth 1.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I'm always a little biased towards. I'll be the first to admit I'm biased towards Punk because I tend to be biased towards theme songs where I was in the crowd for like really big pops. So I was at the AEW event where he came back for the first time in 7 years, and that crowd went crazy. So like that theme song always ranks higher because in my mind I remember where I was when he came back, just cheering with everybody in the crowd. And it's almost why that same thing with like the Cody Rhodes woe, because now it's like, I was in the crowd at WrestleMania and that woe went absolutely ballistic. So
No better crowd than Philadelphia.
oh, for sure. That was amazing. Can't wait to come back, that's for sure. But you know, I am curious. What do you guys think about the rest of the card? So here's the whole card for Survivor Series. Mo, why don't we go with why don't we start off with your least favorite match on the card? Maybe we have Shinsuke Nakamura versus L.A. Knight.
That's my least favorite automatically.
Who do you got?
I don't like LA Knight.
Who do you guys think wins that one, and how do you guys see that match going?
I think LA Knight's gonna win, unfortunately, but hopefully it's a good match. But he'll win.
I think they're finally ready to push Shinsuke. They should have pushed him multiple times. He's such a great technical wrestler. He's incredible at promos for being a guy that doesn't speak good English. I think that Shinsuke becoming the United States champion makes way too much sense because he could super heel the United States champion belt without being able to speak English. And then you can create like a little bit of that belt belongs to someone American, and you can create that Yokozuna versus Hulk Hogan type thought process where no one can, on 4th of July, no one can body slam Yokozuna. I think Shinsuke holding the United States title is just perfect story writing.
I hope you're right.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be LA Knight, but I also would love it if Shinsuke won. Shinsuke is somebody that I was straight up hoping Shinsuke would win his first title at WrestleMania 34. Instead, we booked him in a feud around him and AJ punching each other in the nuts for like 3 months. So overall, I think he's been terribly like mispushed, and I think he's capable of just so much more. And I'm hoping that this Saturday is the start of that. I'm not gonna lie, like LA Knight is growing on me. I used to like really not like him, but he is starting to grow on me a little. But I've always been a much bigger Shinsuke Nakamura fan, so I'm praying that it's his time on Saturday. And of course, we have the Intercontinental Championship triple threat: Braun Breaker versus Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser. What do you guys think? Do you think there's any chance that Braun Breaker loses this one?
You know what? I'm actually going to go with the upset. I think Kaiser wins. Sheamus is not going to be the champion. He's on the other side of his career. Still an entertaining performer, but he's not going to win. But if you talk about in-ring talent, Kaiser is actually he's the most talented guy in that ring in that match. I think Kaiser's never really been pushed. But I like Breaker. He's entertaining, but to me, he's kind of like a Goldberg-like because he's kind of a one-trick pony. He can plow through you, and he can do his dad's move better than his dad did. But other than that, he's not really. I think Kaiser would be more entertaining. I think Breaker's more of a gimmick, so I'd rather see Kaiser win.
So, I actually think it's going to be a very short run for Sheamus, who will win the Intercontinental title at Survivor Series because they keep pushing the fact that they want him to be a Grand Slam champion. Like you hear it talked about every time he's going for an Intercontinental belt. It's the only belt that's eluded him. I think he wins it here and loses it on Saturday night's main event. But I think he wins it just so they can give him that opportunity to be a Grand Slam champion.
I will say I do think Braun retains, but if Braun does lose the title on on Saturday, I hope they don't just like hot potato it right back to him like a month later at Saturday night main event.
Right.
I mean, like they did with
Jay.
Yeah, exactly. Like if he does lose, if Sheamus does win, I'd be down for it, but then at least give him a good run and don't just be like, oh, he's a Grand Slam champion, so let's give Braun the title back. Like let Braun move on to bigger and better things at that point.
Jay deserved a longer title run.
I agree. I was hoping.
I get it. They're putting him in the bloodline feud, and he might get one afterwards. I could see Jay taking the United States Championship off of Shinsuke Nakamura. You're not going to put Jay versus LA Knight after this bloodline feud is calmed down a little bit. But Jay deserves the title run, just to be clear.
Yeah, I could see them waiting until the bloodline stuff's over. Then maybe next year at the Royal Rumble, or maybe give him that WrestleMania moment of him winning the title. I know he technically had his WrestleMania moment of beating his brother last year, but I would love to see him WrestleMania.
His brother got hurt in that match, and that match was the worst match between the two nights.
It was horrible.
And it's because Jimmy got hurt. And it's a lot of people don't realize that Jimmy got hurt and they carried him through the match.
Yeah, so I would love to see him get rewarded too for, just being such a stand-up pro with his big WrestleMania championship win next year. But speaking of championships, Gunther versus Damian Priest.
This is the easiest match to call on the entire card.
Gunther's gonna win. I don't care about.
doubt.
I don't care about all that stuff that Priest has got him scared. They're trying so hard to make this a compelling match, and it might be an entertaining match, but Priest is not going to win.
No. And when you see everything leading up to a fight, and you're constantly seeing the baby face standing over the heel, you know what's going to happen in the fight. There's no way Gunther loses this match. They're doing it to keep Priest over, which they should do because Priest deserves to still be over. But yeah, 100% this is a Gunther win.
I agree.
I think Finn cost him the match again.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think Gunther wins, and there's really not that much of a chance of him losing. I don't see him really losing any time before maybe WrestleMania next year, or maybe the Royal Rumble at the earliest, but I don't see him losing at all this year. Say CM Punk has to sabotage Roman. Hey, maybe. We'll get to that match. We're going to get to that match in a couple minutes here. Because before we get to the men's War Games match, I did want to shout out Karrion Kross. He is somebody on this show that I have said I'm not a fan of, that I've generally been low on, that I've kind of hated on. I'll be the first to admit. But I'll be the first to admit, he's put on some promos on social media. His work with the Wyatts starting to turn the tide for me a little bit. Especially his work on social media. He's starting to cut some great promos. And Final Testament and Wyatt 6 has been a lot of fun so far. So I wanted to get your guys' opinion on the Wyatt 6 versus Final Testament feud.
I'm embarrassed at what the WWE is doing with the Wyatt 6. Absolutely embarrassed by it. I think that let me just be very clear when I say this. I think that it's a great conversation, a great thing that they're doing by creating the Wyatt 6, but the way they're pushing them is just terrible. Terrible. I hated it. I hate it. They went from, them American Made, that group, to Karrion Kross. I'm not a fan of it. Really not. I think they need to be more headlined. I think they need to be more available and accessible. I think you need to see more wrestling between them. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the direction.
I was just hoping that the Wyatt 6 would have a bigger impact. I don't care much for these little side feuds. I really wanted them to have a big impact where they actually won title belts. Like they were really involved and impacted what's going on in the company. And I just think they keep getting caught up in these little sideshow feuds. I just think that has minimal impact. The idea of the Wyatt 6, I love. The execution of it, I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm sure it's coming, but WWE, anything like Wyatt related, always takes this slow build, and then sure that's exactly what they're doing. I'm sure the titles are coming, but once again, we saw it, right before he passed. Bray had months before his first match in a super slow build. Now the Wyatt 6 and all of their feuds have had super slow builds. So we'll
the QR codes lasted 5 months.
Yeah.
I'm done with the QR codes.
Right.
No, that's fair enough. I say big fan of the group, but I completely also understand why people would, be. I completely understand your guys' point of view, pretty much. But
I thought they'd be a perfect feud partner with the new Bloodline. I thought they would be a perfect feud partner with that.
I really thought they were bringing them in right away. I thought they were going to feud with the Judgment Day by now. I thought that was going to be the feud for them. I thought it was going to be an absolute banger, but that hasn't happened yet. Maybe
Day sucks. Judgment Day, it sucks. They're absolutely terrible. There's not one only person on that in the Judgment Day that's any good is well, first of all, I think Dom's a great heel, but it's Finn Balor and JD McDonough stinks. Carlito, they've absolutely ruined what he was. Liv Morgan adds a face to it, like which Rhea had, and then the fake Diesel and Raquel Rodriguez is just so bad. They suck.
The fake Diesel.
It's what they're doing. They're doing the whole bodyguard thing.
Yeah, look, the most talented guy on it's easily Finn Balor. Finn Balor's a beast. And I think Dom is he might not be that great a wrestler, but Dom was an incredible heel. Like he's the kind of guy that you enjoy hating on. Every time Dom comes out, he can't get a word out. He's got that much heat on him. So I love that about Dom. I think this version of the Judgment Day is very watered down. Carlito has been reduced to being like Virgil. He comes into the ring, takes a couple of punches for somebody, and gets laid out. That's pretty much his role on Judgment Day.
Yeah, I'm hoping they mix around. Either hopefully they like disband the group, or if not, at least kind of upgrade the members. I do agree that JD and Carlito at this point just need to go.
They're starting to do that, though. You can see the Finn Balor turning on his own team again.
Oh, yeah. So it'll be interesting. I'm interested to see where they go, but they definitely need a facelift. Which brings us to the men's War Games match. Now, we all know. Hey, Key, what's up?
What's up, Key?
We all know now CM Punk is the 5th member. The Wise Man is back. We have ourselves a 5-on-5. What do you guys think? Is it going to be the new bloodline or the OG bloodline? Bonus question. Do we get a Paul Heyman heel turn? Because it feels like they're teasing it hard.
Well, I mean, they teased it real well with the way he dressed. Mm-hmm. He dressed directly like Solo. Like, I'd never seen anything like it. He looks like that. He's wearing Solo's exact outfit.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh no, I just want to say, yeah, that's what I noticed. That's why I was like, yeah, they're teasing this, aren't they? That he's going to turn on Roman at Survivor Series.
It'd be the dumbest move ever. It would be super dumb to have Paul Heyman turn on the two guys that he's represented for the last 25 years. He just entered Roman Reigns just gave the speech to enter Paul Heyman into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
It's so dumb. I don't think that should happen. I think that the OG bloodline should win, and I think we need to get rid of, or not get rid of, but you can't look. They're trying so hard to push this new bloodline, and it's not good. It's not. The only thing that makes this bloodline feud fun is the return of the OG bloodline.
So I think the feud, I think the new bloodline wins the match. Because I don't think I think this feud, like Roman always says, you're closer to the beginning than you are the end. Yeah, I think they win this match, but I think the feud is far from over. And look, to me, the most compelling matches I look at, it's anything involving Jacob Fatu, because he's a monster. He's an absolute monster. So I look at the OG bloodline, and I hope the Heyman turn doesn't happen. Gene laid it out. It doesn't make sense. Punk has been a Heyman guy forever. Reigns has been a Heyman guy. Reigns just put him in the Hall of Fame. It doesn't make sense. I'm not saying it won't happen, but it doesn't make sense to me either. But then again, because I think this feud's going to extend for some time, and we're leaving out the fact that at some point The Rock will be part of this. He will be part of this. What side will he lean on? I have to believe, though, if Heyman is going to turn heel, it seems kind of odd because Rock's going to be heel. Rock's not going to be on Reigns' side. He's not. So I don't know. I don't know the sense that it makes to have Heyman join Solo. It doesn't make sense to me. But maybe Triple H and company have something else in mind.
Well, see, you said it perfectly. I think that with the OG bloodline winning this fight, you're going to, okay, well, now Solo is not the tribal chief. Here comes the final boss to show Roman Reigns what the new bloodline can do. And I feel like that's what leads into, you're going to get it on the first episode of Netflix, January 1st. That's when you're going to get the Rock return. And I think you might get a snippet of it at Survivor Series. I doubt it, but I think you're going to get that snippet of it coming in the upcoming weeks after Roman's bloodline wins. Well, we need someone else to help us, and that person's going to be The Rock.
See, I think we are going to get The Rock at Survivor Series. I think we're going to get The Rock at the end of this match. I will say, I think the new bloodline wins. I think we're going to get an interference from Seth Rollins. I think he's going to take out both Punk and Bronson Reed since he's beefing with both. I think he finds his way into the War Game structure and stomps both their heads into the ground, giving us that new versus OG bloodline war that we've been waiting for. But I do think that the new bloodline wins in a big part of The Rock. I think I could see him turning on Roman on the January 1st Netflix, but what I think is going to happen is The Rock comes out and he helps the new bloodline, even if it's inadvertently. And it almost creates a fun image where instead of just The Rock comes out and we don't know what it's going to do, we can kind of play the whole, well, whose side is he on? Is he with the new bloodline? Is he with the old bloodline? It kind of gives direction for The Rock going into this new Netflix, but I think he's going to come in and I think he's going to cost the OG bloodline, even if it's inadvertently.
See, the Seth Rollins thing, and I've heard that a lot, and I get it. It makes sense, and it fuels the Seth versus CM Punk. And by the way, CM Punk makes perfect sense for the fifth member. It adds to fuel to the fire with Seth Rollins being now his team with Roman Reigns. But I think that Seth Rollins costing the OG bloodline the match creates yet another heel turn for Seth Rollins. And I don't want that. I think that's terrible. Like, there's only so many times you can turn a guy heel, face. Since Seth Rollins is literally the guy that they just keep bouncing back and forth between heel and face. I think him getting involved in the match and costing an extremely over OG bloodline the match would be terrible for Seth.
See, that's kind of why I'm thinking that not only does he just attack CM Punk, he probably attacks Bronson Reed too. Since he's still beefing with both of them, that's unresolved business since they got involved in his match on that Monday. I think it's going to be The Rock that eventually caused the OG bloodline, but it's an interesting dilemma with Seth Rollins because I completely agree, but if you're going to go CM Punk versus Seth Rollins for WrestleMania, Seth Rollins probably ends up the heel, or at least he's probably a tweener.
That, though. You don't need the best promo between Seth and CM Punk was when they're both faces. They've had two of the best promos ever. And in reality, Brett, you got to keep them away from each other. It's too close it's too far from WrestleMania. You can't, number one, you can't have CM Punk versus Seth Rollins at Saturday night's main event or Netflix. It's got to be a WrestleMania match. And if you get him involved too early, you're gonna kill the fizzle before one of the greatest matches you could ever have.
No, that's fair. It'll be interesting to see for sure how they go about the ending to this match.
I think you can tease it without going overboard. I think you can tease it without having him really get involved directly. There's other ways you can tease that matchup for WrestleMania. And like you said, there are so many moving parts in the Bloodline feud. Seth Rollins is a reality. The Rock is a possibility. I'm sure there's somebody out there that we're not thinking of that could be part of that feud. It could be another member of the family. The family is as big as all WWE. It could be another member of the family getting involved.
Yeah.
I did want to acknowledge that too, Gene. You kind of touched on something earlier. There's a lot of people for some reason saying that CM Punk didn't make sense as the fifth guy for the OG bloodline. And I completely agree with you when you said CM Punk makes complete sense. Not only is he one of the OG Paul Heyman guys, also that might end up being more of a catalyst because The Rock isn't gonna like Roman Reigns teaming with Cody Rhodes. I'm sure he's gonna take an issue with that. But if we remember back when it was the Roman Reigns and The Rock on that whole pre-WrestleMania show in Nevada, and CM Punk was sitting there crap talking how he would have, punched The Rock in the face during that scuffle between the Roman, Cody, Seth, and all them. I don't think The Rock's going to take a liking to Roman teaming with CM Punk either, because they have history too. So I think in turn, it makes sense for Paul to call one of his closest friends. And I also think that eventually that it'll get brought up that not only did The Rock not like him teaming up with Cody, but he's also mad that he teamed up with Punk. So I think this will get tied into that story also.
That's another reason why Rock is going to side with Solo, because he's going to say what Solo said. You lost the title to this dude. What are you doing teaming up with this dude? Yeah, I think that's how it will play out for sure. It just, like I said, there's so many moving parts, and Triple H and creation can go so many different ways with this. But I hope they don't rush the process.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, one thing I hope too with War Games matches in the future too, I love that. I think the women's War Games match is going to be good, but like you kind of said earlier, it feels rushed and thrown together.
That's terrible.
I really hope that in the future we make sure the War Games matches make sense, because I would hate War Games to end up kind of like Hell in a Cell did in the 2010s, where it had its own pay-per-view, and towards the end it kind of got watered down. I would hate to see us start to throw just random women or even just random men into War Games matches just so we have a War Games match, and us start to water down, WWE accidentally watered down the product. So I think it's going to be a great match, but I hope that we make sure that all the builds to War Games make sense. Just makes more sense in the future.
I mean, this makes absolutely no sense. The women's War Games makes no sense on any level. It's so terribly thrown together, and it shows how badly they need to have women's factions and a better cohesiveness in women's storytelling. These women have done a great job. The Royal Rumble was a million times better. Women's Royal Rumble was a million times better than the men's. What was if we're talking about the best matches that we've watched in the last few years, where does Rhea and Charlotte fall on that list?
Oh yeah,
how great was that match?
That was a great match.
One of my there's so many great women's matches that Rhea and Charlotte was absolutely fantastic. That's for sure. Even at WrestleMania, all the women's matches really delivered.
Correct. So like they need to do a better job with the women's storytelling. And I think they can now that Becky awful promo Lynch is not main event in the card. She's one of the worst promos ever. I'm sorry. I don't know what you people see in her. I maybe I'm a Becky Lynch hater. I can't stand her. I cannot stand her. It's like LA Knight for Mo.
Oh God. If it's like that, if you feel that way,
returned to your city. Like, shut up. Shut up.
Oh, absolutely. But There you have it, guys. We have our Survivor Series predictions, and we had a little fun today. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add before we get on out of here?
Just one more thing. I think Gene was spot on. I think it really would make the women's division and their storytelling better if you did go back to having some great factions. And hopefully, if we do get a heel Bianca Belair, she forms a faction.
Well, I think it's going to be Bianca and Naomi. I think they both turn heel with Jade's title. And I think that essentially that creates that. I think that I also don't like another part of women's war games that pissed me off more than anything. We're going to throw Io Sky in there on the face team. Where the hell did that come from? And then Io goes, let's add Kyrie. And Bianca's like, no. Like, can't do that. What are we talking about? And then Rhea walks up and she's like, I don't care who you add. Just give me Liv. Like, it's so dumb.
But I do love Io Sky as a performer. I'm with you. It doesn't make sense, but she's one of my favorite wrestlers.
Oh, she's a great performer. We got Io with us. We didn't come alone. Here's Io. Like, what? Where did that conversation come from?
Yeah, no, that threw me off too, how they're like, no to these members of Damage Control because they're such douches. Oh, yeah, here's Io, by the way. Like, where did that come from? Excuse me? Gene, is there anything you wanted to add in, sir?
No. I really love. I can't get enough of the Bloodline battle. I think that's great. I'm looking forward to moving on from being able to add a true leader to the new Bloodline when Rock gets added to the agenda. And I want my Jey Uso title run, man. Give me my Jey Uso title run.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, I will say, I did make sure to get off on January 6th or whatever that Monday that Raw goes to Netflix. I'm thinking watch along.
Oh, I'm with it. I'm there.
I'm there. I'm with it.
Let's go. Let's go.
Absolutely. Coming up in the future for Meaty Boyz, got a couple watch alongs planned. I'm thinking took off for January 6th Raw, took off for the Royal Rumble, and of course, our good friend Chase just ran his own professional wrestling. He ran his event. It's out on YouTube. Working with him to plan a watch along for that too. Make sure tomorrow, 6 o'clock Central, check out Wire to Wire podcast. I'm sure I can't wait. I'm off tomorrow. I'll definitely be checking it out. And Mo and I, shortly after that, Meaty Boyz. Thanksgiving's this Thursday. So tomorrow, Warriors Thunder. We're going to watch along. We're going to talk basketball for a couple hours. Definitely be on the Wire to Wire podcast network tomorrow. We're going to bring you a full day of activities. It's going to be great. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, from all of us here on the Meaty Boy podcast, we hope that y'all have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for tuning in, and please enjoy the rest of your night.